I'm so excited to have my friend April Capil here with me. April is a breast cancer survivor, an author, a speaker, and a spiritual healer. Tell me about your bout with breast cancer.
So I was 34. In 2008, I had a lump for about 4 years. And everybody told me that I didn't need to worry about it. They told me that young women didn't get cancer, that I didn't have any family history. And the lump started to change shape, and I went back to the doctor, and the next thing I knew, I had stage 3 breast cancer.
And what do you do with that?
Well, I probably got it at the worst possible time you could get it. I had moved to another state to start a small business. It was November of 2008, so the economy was falling apart. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was isolated. I was away from my family, and I felt, you know, responsible because I felt like I should have known, but I knew that what I had to do was take care of myself, try and get my ducks in a row, do what I could to recover. I moved back to California, went through treatment, and a year later, I felt like cancer had just come in and just Nagasaki'd my life.
When did you know that, okay, I'm gonna fight this with everything I had? Because you get that type of diagnosis and you just throw in the towel and give up. Or do you fight like hell?
I think I did give up for a while. I think that for a long time I was like, I got it. And then I got to a point where I actually met with my oncologist, and she said, you know, we're going to attack this with very strong chemo because triple negative breast cancer responds with very strong chemo, and we just want to make sure that we do everything we can to keep it from coming back. And I was like, what do you mean coming back? It's not going to come back. And she's like, oh, it can come back. And I don't think that she was trying to scare me, but I think she was trying to impress upon me the need to take it seriously because it was a fight for my life. Like, I wasn't fighting to recover.
When you were fighting for your life, you started doing something interesting that I actually love. You started making these YouTube videos of, I'm bald, I'm going through cancer, but I'm gonna look fabulous. And it was basically a makeup tutorial of how to look good while going through chemo.
Well, I think that every woman going through chemo faces the same thing. Mm-hmm. You feel isolated, you feel alone, and it turns into this snowball effect where you look in the mirror and you see Uncle Fester and you don't feel like going out, and then that makes you not go out, and then the less you go out, the less you want to go out because you don't want people to see you sick and weak. And I went to like a personal power camp with my sister, and the speaker said the thing that you're afraid of, you should face head on, and if you can learn to overcome that fear and turn it into a gift of service, then it won't hold any power over you anymore. So I thought, well, I'm afraid of everybody seeing me sick and weak, so I'll just put it all out there on YouTube, and then, you know, I won't be afraid of it anymore because it'll already be out there. And, you know, the messages that I got from people, the comments on the videos, every single time I felt down about myself, I'd go on the channel and one more person would be like, the 13-year-old girl, oh, my mom's going through chemo, thank you so much. And it would lift my spirits.
And then from there, you took lemons and you turned them into lemonade.
I did. So I wrote a book. It's called Recipe for Lemonade. And I was talking to someone on the phone when, you know, came home from like the 16 millionth like crappy job interview, where I was like, yeah, I'm just recovering from cancer. And they asked me what I was doing, and I was like, I'm just making lemonade out of lemons. And so I thought, you know, that more so, especially in 2009 and 2010, when everybody, you know, just felt their world falling down around them. I thought that's what people need. They really need to know that it's going to be okay. And so my recipe for lemonade was really simple. The first one is you ask yourself, what did you think you deserved? Because we all have, you know, senses of entitlement. Because we had the right job, because we had the right plan, because we went to the right doctor, we don't deserve to get sick. But people get sick all the time, and nobody deserves it. But when you harbor these feelings that you don't deserve it and it's unfair, it prevents you from moving forward. So that's the first thing. The second step is, you know, you look around at your life and you ask yourself, well, how could it be worse?
Right.
and you realize that you're actually pretty fortunate. Like, I got a second chance, and not everybody gets a second chance. Some people go into that room and the doctor says 6 months if you're lucky, you know, and I got to live. And so the third step is you look around at what's really truly sweet in your life, and you meet wonderful friends even though you had cancer because you had cancer. And you look at the family and friends around you. You look at, hey, you know, like, I'd rather lose a boob than, I don't know, an eye.
Yeah.
You know, or anything. It's, you can always find comfort in the things in your life that are sweet.
So when you talk about moving forward, I think a lot of times cancer patients get stuck. I've been there before. You know, being diagnosed at 25, 2001, you know, really on the cusp of when people were like, yeah, you get cancer and you survive. This was still kind of like, you get cancer and you die.
Yeah.
And what tools would you give people to help propel them from being stuck?
So I would say that, like, you know, that journey, what I usually tell survivors when I meet them and they've been initially diagnosed is I say, first, don't panic. Just realize you're on the very first step of this journey, okay? It might be a short journey, it might be a long journey, but you'll go through it.
What if they're terminal? Because the reality is, people don't like to tell, people tell terminal patients, oh, you can make this, you know, because that's what they want to do. Family and friends, they want to make it better. But what about if you're a terminal cancer patient and you know the end is not going to be better, like it's coming? Like, how do you, for whatever time you have left, how do you have a good quality of life?
Well, the first thing I would say to that is, I have news for you. Nobody gets out of here alive.
Yeah.
You know, the life that you have left is the life that you have left, whether it's 5 months or 50 years. And I would rather live 5 months with the strongest, most powerful intention I could live than 50 years just eating, sleeping, living as a meat suit. So, I mean, when I was diagnosed, I had a 67% chance of making it to 40. And I thought, God, all these women are, you know, they're like, oh God, I'm turning 40. And I was like, I would be glad to turn 40 because it meant that I was going to be alive. That would increase my chance of long-term survivorship. So I made a list of 40 things I wanted to do before I turned 40.
Yeah.
And, you know, that list was my ladder. It carried me from a dark place out into the light. You know, it step by step, rung by rung, I climbed my way out of, you know, a very dark place. A place where I thought, you know, maybe I am that 33% that's just gonna wake up one morning, go to the doctor, and find out that, well, we did the best we could, but it wasn't enough. So I wanted to make sure that those 5 years counted. And, you know, luckily I'm in my 6th year. 6 years cancer-free.
I love that. You said, I wanted to make sure that those years counted. I think that's what the sweet spot is on the other side, that a lot of survivors finally figure out. You know, when I first came through it, I was still in the fog. I wanted to go back doing everything that I did before. I wanted to, you know, be the greatest producer on my job. I wanted to be the fun girl out at happy hour with my friends and doing this. And at the end of the day, none of that mattered anymore. I was just so thankful to be alive. And then you go through this fog of, my cancer's coming back, my cancer's coming back. So you can't truly live your life at 100% because you're always waiting for the bottom to drop out.
Yep.
And then one day you get to the sweet spot and you're like, I am more than my cancer. You know, I have this and I have this gift and I can live and taste and breathe and live this incredible life beyond my cancer. So for people who, they don't see that right now because they're still in that part of their cancer journey where they're stuck, you know, what would you say to them about the future?
I would say that, you know, that it's very, very easy. I talk a lot about Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. And
thank you for turning me on to him.
Yeah. And so he used to talk about the hero's journey, and he would say, you start in the world that you know, and you cross a threshold and go into a world you don't know. And when you're in the very, very depths of that world, when you're in what he calls the belly of the beast, you literally have to sacrifice yourself. A part of you has to die, you know, so that a part of you can be reborn. And then you begin that journey back up to the world you know. And when you get to that, you know, when you get back, you're a master of both worlds. You know how to live in both places. But if you stay in that bottom place, you know, your journey never continues. It's like you just stagnate. And so I would tell somebody who feels like they're stuck, I would say, keep going. Yeah. You know, when you get to the hard part, keep going. Because the only way out is through.
You know, life is hard on its own. You know? It's hard. And then you throw that monkey wrench called cancer in, and it's just like, you know, how do you not give up on life?
You know, I think that
because it's easy to do.
You know, cancer,
to just give up.
Cancer is an easy way to check out. You know, nobody will blame you. They'll say, "Oh, it was, you know, it was very, very hard," or "Oh, you know, she fought really, really well." Cancer is an easy way to just give up on life. There are lots of things. Divorce is an easy way to give up on life. Illness, singlehood, like, you know, going through bankruptcy, losing your house. Things a lot of people in this country have done in the last 5 years. But what you have to ask yourself is, you know, that eternal question that Shakespeare asked, to be or not to be. What are you here for? Are you here to be? Because if you're here to be, then that's all that counts. I can't make you want to be here. But if you want to be here, I can teach you how to climb. But if you don't want to be here, I can't do anything for you. Your first step has to be, I want to be here. I want the chance that life is.
And I think that's true. I think, you know, I say it a lot. Life is what you make it.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So this is April Capil, breast cancer survivor, author. You can find her at aprilcapil.com. I'm Tanika Felder. This is Survivor TV. See you next time.
Thanks.